This one's kind of touchy, right? We all witnessed the horrible fires in California, specifically in the Palisades, and everybody is horrified by that. It's a terrible, tragic situation. I am not generally speaking of the conspiratorial type, which said, well, what started the fires, all this. I think it's just bad governance of like forest management, water supply, a bunch of that sort of stuff. But you know that meme that so many people send around? It's like Bart Simpson, and then he says like, what an odd thing to say. This is another one of those situations in California. Lily, this is what an odd thing to do. California is seeking to establish a resilient rebuilding authority for the Los Angeles wildfires, which are set to coordinate and streamline the process of rebuilding. The problem is, or the very fishy thing is, the powers that the state is trying to give this county, Los Angeles County Authority, is to purchase property and facilitate redevelopment, including through eminent domain. In other words, the county, eminent domain, people who don't know about this can say this, us taking this land for the greater good is what's going to happen, and that's, we're gonna basically commandeer it. Lily, again, I don't think the government had any role in starting the fires or perpetuating them. I don't think that's true. Mismanagement in government, different story. Why would they be doing this specifically and kind of almost threatening that the county takes takes land through eminent domain, which a lot of people aren't a fan of?
Yeah, it's a really fishy situation, gets you asking a lot of questions. I know
Mhm.
California, obviously, they have tremendous amounts of mismanagement. And I think probably how they've divvied up land or how much they've sold or if they've oversold or if they're trying to add more like Section 8 housing, right, with these potential seizures, right? It's just another example of how mismanagement and ignorance and someone being terrible at their job creates more problems. And so not only are you having land that is like completely burnt to a crisp because of these fires, then the government is coming in and saying, hey, we could actually use this for something a little bit more interesting, a little bit better for you guys. And I don't think
Mm.
Californians should have any reason to trust their government. I'm hoping this piece of active legislation doesn't completely make it through, because why is the government getting more involved when they've proven that they mismanage every single little thing? And citizens should be able to stand up against their government and say, you know what? Not because of you guys that did this burn down, but the burning got worse because you didn't know how to handle it. Why should I trust you with this land that you're potentially going to seize from me? It doesn't make sense, makes you ask a ton of questions, but I'm with you. Not going to assume anything here, but mismanagement leads to lots and lots of problems.
Yeah, Paula, to kind of follow up on something that Lily said, this is really interesting too. The Resilient Rebuilding Authority would authorize financing acquisition of different properties with a mandate to spend at least 40% on low income housing, which means you're 60% below the threshold. This is some of the most popular, most expensive real estate, not only in California, not only in the country, but on planet Earth. And 40% of it could, in theory, go to low income housing. Again, what a weird thing to do.
You know, leftists just want to own everything. I mean, I live in New York City. We talk about Mondami a lot. He wants state-run grocery stores. The government just wants to own all your land. They don't like people having private property. They don't like homeowners. They don't want individuals making decisions for themselves. They think that they tax the people in California already so much, and they take all that taxpayer money and don't do anything useful with it whatsoever. And then they want to take their homes away too, and then put in, again, yes, public housing probably. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with the land, but all I know is that it's better in the hands of those private owners doing what it is with the property they worked hard to purchase. And it says, well, you know what, now you had a terrible situation. We're just going to take it away and we're going to do whatever we want with it. And that's not my problem.
Yeah.
Shame on the government of California. I mean, I think that they've shown us time and time again. I mean, I know you live in California, Joe Bob, but we've seen a lot of failures in their government, and it's really just sad to see the people that have already been hurt so badly by these fires just having to deal with this even more.
Yeah, we'll all find out together what actually ends up happening here. But as of right now, what an odd thing to do. Really quickly here before we have to go to break, Lily, uh, Dr. Jill Biden's right-hand man, her work husband, was set to testify in front of a closed-door hearing trying to figure out the cover-up of the president's mental decline. He pleaded the fifth. He's like, I'm not talking. Does it say more than what he said to not have said anything? I think that makes sense.
I think if he would have just said, yeah, there were signs of Joe Biden declining and that's why we took him out of the race, nobody would bat an eye. But the problem is they're so incriminated, they don't know what to say, and it looks terrible. Silence is always worse when everybody has 9 million questions about the situation. And so him pleading the fifth definitely speaks volumes. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. Paula, Byron Donalds, congressman, said this: if he wasn't in charge of his administration, then every order, every bill that was signed, every memorandum, as far as I'm concerned, are null and void. If this commission finds that President Biden was completely incoherent the entire time, I don't know, what are the legal ramifications of that when it comes to all of the things that he put in place and signed?
Exactly that. I think we need to look into the entire Biden administration, every executive order, every pardon, every single piece of legislation that was ever put on his desk. But the other thing is all of these people pleading the fifth, if they do answer honestly, there's two categories. First, they knew what was going on and they were part of the cover up. Or they're so stupid that they were working for someone that was not even fully there, not able to have conversations, and they didn't know. I mean, those are the two options, right? They either didn't know or they were part of the cover up. And I think both make these people look equally bad. And so again, I think that we're not talking about this enough. No one's talked about how the Biden administration was just hiding things from us. I still want to know who was president, who was making the decisions to do everything that happened in the 4 years of failure that they did. We have no answers on that. And again, I'm appreciative to the Republicans that have been pushing back on this, but I want more answers and I won't be quiet about it until we have them.
Yeah, I agree. You've also echoed the never-ending Joe Bob paradigm. Are they stupid or are they lying? One of those two things have to be true, and I guess, well, hopefully we'll find out.